this up at the nursery last year, last fall actually, and I've just left it in the container. Now this is a juniper anybody could get at a store. Now this was 20 bucks, I think it was 25, but on sale in the fall. So really anybody could get this, and you know, this is something anybody could do, really. Nothing special here. What I've done, unfortunately, is I've left it all spring and the inside is all died back, right? It's just pushing this outside growth. And I'm seeing, let's see. So you see, there's a lot of juvenile growth in the inside and then pushing to, you know, adult foliage. On the tip. So I'm not sure what that is, if it's you know, if this is from last year or it's just, yeah, I'm not sure exactly why it's doing that. But like I said, when I was at the nursery, I just kind of felt in and kind of felt for a thicker bottom. It does look like it kind of splits. So I really have no idea what I'm going to do with this, how to design it or anything. So yeah, I just thought this is something that anybody can do, and probably I'd say the best way to get into bonsai is just grab a $20 tree, get some scissors, and start working on it. It's super helpful for me to just be able to make all these decisions and see how I'm making them, and then make design decisions. And you end up having to make these really tough decisions because the tree isn't you know, not that well suited for bonsai unless you get a super specimen. So if you're interested at all, you get inspired, just go to your garden store and buy a juniper. Now normally a $20 juniper, they're actually quite a bit smaller, so this is kind of unique, but I think anybody in a major center should be able to find one like this. So yeah, let's get started. First thing to do is to start clearing out this lower section. It's going to be a bit of a spiker. Yeah, it's always so dead. I always get kind of excited to do these because you never know what you're going to find. Like I said, I wish I had maybe done this earlier in the year because I've got all of this dead growth in here. I don't know what I'm going to have to do with that. Yeah, and it's going to really lengthen all these branches out. So any of these lower ones, I just take off. You know, you could keep them. You could try to keep them and do something with the design, but it just makes it so difficult if you don't clear out some space. So even before I know what I'm doing, I'm just clearing out space, and I'm gonna pull this out of the container just to see what we have for some roots. You know, and this does start to limit some of the design potentials, right? If you want to branch lower, or you're gonna make a cascade or something, you know, you might use one of these lower branches. A little bit spiky in there. Again, I'm just clearing out this lower section. I'm probably not going to use any of it. And if I, you know, and I just find, I've tried this before where I just clean it right out and then end up taking these lower ones anyway. And I think, oh, why didn't I just do that at the start? But you can see it's just dead in there. I'll just keep cleaning, and so you can see I've cleaned it out a lot in there. This big branch coming up, or sorry, trunk, and then you have a lot of little branches in there. Let's see. Now what I really liked was, what I like about this tree, I like this little knuckle kind of in here, and it kind of bows out, and then you get a little bit more movement, and then that could be the main branch. Now I have another branch trunk coming up, and I have to kind of decide. And you see all that in there. There's another bigger one back there, but it really just stops and splits. So I'm thinking I like this trunk. Now I could chop here and just make it this. Look a little bit thick and then really thin right there. I'm gonna clean out a bunch and then decide. I may keep this trunk because that's got a lot of movement, and they both have a lot of movement. It'd be a shame just to lose it. So I'm thinking maybe I'll see if I can do a twin trunk. The problem is you sort of get this U shape here. So I might, in the end, tip it a bit to kind of try to lose the just straight up U, and it'll become that way. So again, that's my front. So let's just start getting some of these branches out of the way. I've sat with this tree for, I'd say, about a week since I did my sort of the clean out, just to kind of look at it and decide. This huge branch comes out right out front. Take that out of there. So that opens up that line nicely. That back one's too short, or sorry, too low and pretty thick. Let's take that out too. There's a branch coming off the back. I may be able to use that because where it emanates will be hidden in the trunk. Just get a little bit cleaner than that. It's these I might keep. This pretty thickly. So the centerpiece here, right? It goes straight up. Let's get rid of this. And then let's get rid of this. That's too straight. Two comes off, takes this whole unique movement away. That's gotta go. There. Now we're getting some nice room in there. What's that? Let's see, that's okay. There we go. This. So, I'm kind of thinking about keeping this branch here, but you can see it really bulges there, and there's 3 branches, so it creates that reverse taper. If I took that back one, you can't see it so well. there's a back one there. If I took that back one here, it would create another little U there. So I'm actually gonna take this side one, and in that way I can also trim off the reverse taper I'm seeing. Let's just look at it for a second here. And I'm gonna use that back too. So that way, I could use this trunk here to kind of make this one look a little thicker, coming off the base. It's super straight though. Do I like it? Do I need it? I almost want to take it off. Just create room for the other one. Although I could have it. Yeah. That would really get rid of that U, which would be nice. Create like a triple trunk. I just keep this going this way and have this kind of come up. I think that's what I'm aiming towards. Just reduce it a little. So I'm starting to get to that point now where I'm wary of taking off too much and the tree not surviving. You know, and you have this sort of decision you can make with a lot of these, which is, do you want to make it look like a bonsai right now, or do you want to kind of have it for development? And I'm going to kind of do an in between the two with this one, to kind of allow myself for the tree to grow into the future. Often, if you make just a you know, instant bonsai, the next year it grows out and it loses its shape, and then you can kind of cut it back to where you started. The tree doesn't like that. It loses a lot of its growth, and it usually gets a little bit even more out of shape because it's just a little bit lankier than your original instant bonsai design. And so you lose that potential to move the tree forward, and then it's just, you know, what are you doing? Just keeping it in the same level, and it just slowly loses health. So that's you know, this is something to consider as you're doing it, right? It's I did that last year a bunch, right? So I have some lots that I've just kind of made, okay, that looks good, it's a good instant sort of bonsai, I like the look of it, and then this year it grew all the way out, and then what do I do? What do I do for design at that point, right? And I brought one back to where it's kind of original design, and it just didn't even look as good in my mind. And then what do I do next year, right? And it's the same thing. So I think you want to, even when you're doing your sort of, let's call it instant bonsai, you want to kind of plan for the future. Give yourself some space to move the tree forward in some way. And how you're doing that is you're looking at long-term design, like if everything thickens out and the branches and you know, foliage gets thicker. Let's look at where we're at. Maybe there's some other angles. I mean, that's pretty straight. This does have nice movement when you turn it this way. And this, I like this kind of movement. Something like that, maybe. Turn this into one, this into a little one. This I'll just leave for now. It's gonna make it look bad, but I might incorporate into the design. Not totally sure. So we've got some situations here to deal with. So like I said, you know, when you see there's 3 branches coming out there, you can just go ahead and decide, because structurally long term that's not gonna be sustainable. It's just gonna create, and you can already see it's, maybe you can't, but it's creating a reverse taper right there, which isn't that great. I'm gonna cut this off too. thick. And it's anyway. This branch. Let's see. See, I want that at a nice, cute angle. So if I cut the middle one, I get this big angle. Now I'm gonna probably wire this so I could shrink it. But I don't necessarily want a super long branch there. So let's get in there and cut that. There we go. Okay, nice. So there's this sort of movement that I'm going to go for with this one. And I guess I'm going to kind of have the direction going this way because this will be the smaller tree. I think this will be the bigger tree. And sort of, you can see the U starting to form right when I do this. So it might have to be kind of like that. Both of them kind of off this way. A little weird with the main trunk. Oh yeah, I'll tilt it just a bit. And then I feel like I have to have this moving off. If this comes up, you get this sort of U shape overall. I don't want that right now. So let's go for that. Okay. As I get to the top, I gotta be a little bit more careful because I might want some of these branches. You know, one of the things I tilted it up on an angle and I really wanted, so this is the one apex and this is the other apex. So I've sort of defined the main line first, and then I'm going to bring all these branches, start working on the lower branches. So I want the movement kind of coming this way. And I want to try to get sort of a dominant and a subordinate, trunk tree. I've never ever done a twin trunk before, so this is my first. I do want to kind of have it shaped angled like this, so this is all going to kind of come in and down. I want to fill out this because you have, and especially if you turn it like that and you lose this teeny little bit in here, you'd get this, and then it kind of closes up here, which just, I'm going to try to fill that out. So I'm going to keep kind of rotate as much as I can to keep this little crack in here visible, and then this trunk's going to kind of come forward and this one's going to swoop. Well, it's kind of sideways and then swoops over and down. So that's the kind of subordinate, dominant and subordinate branches. I do need to kind of fill out this space. So like these branches are going to come down. Now this whole back could probably go. Right? This whole thing could probably go, especially once I fill it in the space. I'm going to leave it for now. And I may leave it just for strength of the tree, and I'll just trim this back a lot because it's quite long. And if I leave this like super vigorous and don't touch it all and do wiring everywhere here, the tree is just going to say, this is my main branch, this one's the strongest. It's just going to keep pushing and take vigor all the way from here. The other thing that'll be interesting will be something like this, where the apex comes up. I have like no branches down here or on the other side. These will hopefully all just grow. So, and the question is this apically dominant or not? I'm not totally sure with these junipers. They're kind of spreading, right? So it could really suffer. So I'm not even going to wire any of this up here. Just leave it super strong, and hopefully that will, strengthen up. So yeah, I'll just start bending, and we'll see how we go. I'm going to have to turn it my angle just a bit, so it'll be a bit strange. I think I want to get this defining branch as long as possible. Oh, another piece is I really, if I want to avoid straight lines, and so I get dangerously close here, if not straight here. Definitely there is straight, because I could go a little more to try to get away from this. but I find that the line gets a bit straight, and I really like this start here, and kind of coming from the front from where I am here, just a hair, you get this, which I really like. And that kind of carries you to that big dominant tree versus this one, because right now, I mean, this is it's pretty dominant, not dominant, but it's strong. So okay. Holding right in there, because that's where it's going to split here, and I have the wire holding it too, so that should be pretty good. And I want this low so that this side and this side, this is quite a bit lower, so you know, I'm getting to where I want to be there. So that's a nice big, it's huge. And I mean, this is another issue, is that this is the primary trunk, but this is going to be the primary branch. So you might, you know, it'll give direction, but it might pull your eye to this trunk versus that. We'll see as I start to fill in. And I also think this branch is key, because it's going to be short in here. Let's see, how can I get that in there? Because I want it to kind of come lower, or appear lower at least. So that this and this don't become the same, you know, the same length. You know, I mean, the branches are kind of coming off the same. This is hopefully going to go lower, so I'm going to try to keep this up here. Don't want to go much lower than that, because that's like I'm getting near the base of my tree here. Let's just give this a little lower defining branch. Okay. Now here you can see this crosses over the back line, and that's strange, so I gotta bring that down. And what I'll probably do is just use this branch for some depth. So it kind of splits there, that's strange. Let's see, this has to be hidden behind there. Yeah, so depending on where I have it, I may not be able to use this branch. Maybe some depth in behind there, that's kind of nice actually. Let's see. Okay. Now let's bring this branch in here. I feel like this branch needs to come down. But maybe it goes that way, does it? Yeah, I think it does. That's the natural way the branch wants to kind of go. I'm going to fold it back on itself. Got some really thick wire on this one, so that should be able to do this. That heavy fold. Okay. Just cleaning up just a hair in here. Let's get this branch in. Into play here. Oh. Yeah, that was just a strong bend. So I'm just putting a little bit of movement in here. Moving this way back to reduce the length here. I don't mind having this a bit high. More, back more. Oh. I'm trying to break up some of the vertical line as well. Filling this space. So if I have these planted down, I need them to come up just to the tips. And they're going to come down because that's the natural way they grow. But there. Yeah, so that pack's got to go. It's now or never. Do I want a gin coming off back there? Nope. Big chunk. Oh. Trees designed up. You really get the flow, you know, it's all these little bits that are kind of giving it the flow to the one way, and it almost looks like it's flat here and it all just shoots down. So it's, you know, these could maybe be a little bit flatter in the end, so the tips don't shoot down, and then the apex is going to be up here somewhere. But yeah, my first twin trunk, and you know, you do have that kind of bullhorn split, especially as you get farther and farther back, because of the size of the trunk. So that means I'll probably have to fill that in a lot. just in here and have the sort of trunks coming up separately. But I'm really happy with the movement. Tried to stay away from too many straight lines, so hopefully I get a little bit in there and out, up, in, you know, and it kind of curves. So you don't have many straight sections in the trunks, or too much in the branches, which is really great. And there's a few funky branches kind of in the back. If you look at the back side here, it's taken a lot of branches off. You know, some big scars, and this one's kind of swooped down back, and this just gives it depth. This will probably have to be shortened at some point. Some of these other branches will grow out, and some of the branches right now that I'm using to kind of fill space, like say this one, might just get pushed back, while these ones can kind of grow in, you know, to fill that space. But yeah, I'm really happy with it. It does, you know, and I wanted this sort of top tree to look like it's sort of, you know, over top, dominant over top. It's a bit much. Would be better with that gone, but I'm just gonna leave it right now. And actually, here we are. That makes it look a little better. Again, it might just, this just might need to totally kind of come off. Thanks for watching.